Hey y'all, it's Vanessa Love. I have a lot of stuff going on. This this is on because there's gonna be a webinar that I'm gonna do about retreats, like starting in like 4 minutes. So, you know, the hopefully people won't be able to hear me, but here I am. I also have a migraine, and I'm in the middle of doing some homework that is the way that the way that the online classes go is that I have to respond to something before Thursday, and then I have until Thursday to give a response, and I have to write a paper. So, like, all right. So, um, there's so much to art therapy, and I was just kind of talking to myself and kind of figuring out what I was going to talk about. And of course, I was in the middle of a thought, and now I'm like, I don't even know how to begin, how to get to that thought, because I'm like in my mind in the middle of this story. Um, so the story is basically I went to this. Yeah, I'm gonna take this off. I can't talk and listen at the same time. Um, I went to talk about art therapy to a group of people at a college. This is when I was in the New London area, so this is like 5 years ago now. Like, this is not recent stuff. And I was shy, and that was the first experience that I had where people wanted only to talk to me for getting, what is that called? For getting directives. They wanted to know, like, okay, well, what do you do with your clients? Because they wanted to do it themselves. And I was a bit offended because one of the guys had done art therapy. He had used the what you will call it. Okay, I'm really gonna have to take this off. He had used he'd used art materials with a client and then had kept the artwork, and it showed me some of the artwork, and it was really disturbing. It was kind of crazy. So that was a little upsetting. And he didn't know what it meant. And he just, was picking out directives from somewhere. And then I had this really aggressive woman who was just like, art therapy is not culturally sensitive, and you have this thing called the PPAT, and, so PPAT is an assessment. And again, with assessments, you have to pay for these things. You can't just be like, I can't just be like, oh, I know, I know art therapy, I can do what I'm trying to do, and like totally go on and do my thing. It doesn't work that way. What happens is that people, like, so there's assessments and there's art assessments, and you have to be trained in the art assessments to know what things are going on. I can guess at what's going on, I can figure it out, but I'm not trained in it, and I don't think it's fair for me to do anything that's outside of my training unless I feel like that is perfectly appropriate for that situation, and I don't necessarily think that that would be true. So she's this aggressive woman saying that this PPAT is culturally insensitive because, now mind you, we are in New London, we are in Connecticut. People in Connecticut pick things. There's whole industries. There's farms. You can pick apples. You can pick blueberries. You can pick sunflowers. You can pick raspberries. You can pick pumpkins too. So, like, there's whole things dedicated to this, right? So it's kind of crazy, and it's a very interesting thing. So, sorry. All right, it's a very interesting thing. And what you call it? Sorry, lots of thoughts just going through my head. Okay, so what she's talking, so she was saying that it's culturally insensitive because people in Brooklyn, where I don't practice, where I don't have a degree to practice, where I don't have a license to practice, might not know that apples come from trees. And I'm like, okay, so I have a picture of someone picking an apple from the, grocery store. It's not about the apple or the tree. It's about something else. And I don't want to tell you what it's about, because if you ever do have a pee pad, then you'll be like, oh, I know what you're trying to assess. Let me do this the cool way. You're going to reveal yourself anyway. It doesn't matter. But, like, it's just one of those things that you should, like, I don't want to reveal my secrets. Um, I also don't believe that it is culturally insensitive, because worldwide, Christianity is the number one religion. When you have Christianity as your number one religion, there's stories that come with that, and I hope that you know where I'm going with this. Adam and Eve. What does Eve do? She picks an apple she picks a fruit. We all interpreted that as apple, right? She picks a fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Okay, so you're telling me that some kid who lives in Brooklyn, where there's no trees around, and I don't know if that's a rare case, but I'm like, I mean, we're not talking about kids in Iowa who might not pick trees. They might pick, they might pick corn or something, or wheat, or a bunch of other things. We're not talking about Alabama. We're not talking about Chicago or, anything like that. We're talking about some kid in Brooklyn who might not know that apples come from trees. Yeah. So, I'm sure if you asked them, I was very pleasant, and they were very pleasant, and, everything was fine. But, I have a different approach because of the way that they reacted when I was asking them to figure out, not figure out, they were asking me for basically my trade secrets and something that they weren't trained in, and that's not what this headache, that's not what that interaction was supposed to be, and it wasn't what it's not what that was supposed to be, and it wasn't what it's not very respectful to me, and like, I mean, that's the first time that I experienced that. I haven't experienced that since. There's no one else who's been like, I need to get to know you because I need your directives. If you're interested in any of that, there's a book by Lucia Capione. It's called The Creative Journal. The Creative Journal, The Creative Journal for Teens, The Creative Journal for Kids, as a guide for parents and teachers. There's, that's a lot of directives right there with the follow-up questions. I mean, obviously you can do it on your own. I'm not saying that you can't. I think that art therapy is a lot like personal training, where, oh man, I'm gonna cut this short. Where you go and you, you can work out on your own. Obviously, you can do therapy through self-help books and through support groups, but it's going to be easier and better for you if you have someone there who's like, hey, I know this is specific to you. I want to help you grow. Here, let me boost you up. All right. Headache is getting worse somehow. I just took medication for this. I was like waiting for it to like kick in, and now I'm like, I don't know. This is stress related, not going anywhere headache that is not going to help me write my paper or participate in any of this, and I'm gonna have a full day tomorrow, which I think I'm like ultra stressed about. All right, I will talk with you soon. Bye.